Welcome back to Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig, and today I'm joined by Jackson Reed, a performer and podcast host. He is the singer behind Jackson Reed and the Silverbirds. He's got the podcast Guess That Record, and he's got a new EP coming out January 30th, live in 25. It was a live recording that he did, and not only that, but the concert film will be available on YouTube. So we're going to chat all about his sound, how he got into music, performing live, making this EP, and when they made this EP, he shared the stage with Nazareth, so what that was like, that experience, and yeah, it was a great time chatting with Jackson. Very unique voice, sound, very classic rock, 80s pop. I can think of a lot of people that would really enjoy his music, so I definitely recommend you checking himself out. He's got some out available now on Spotify, but like I said, the new one live in 25 comes out on January 30th. But for now, enjoy my chat with Jackson Reed. Jackson. Craig. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to chat with you. I've been listening to the new EP all morning. It is so good.
Thank you.
We're going to dive into that in a little bit. But, you know, I love having performers on and diving right into Little You and music. Has it always been there? Did you know you wanted to perform? Did you know you wanted to entertain, sing, play instruments? When did this all start for you?
Well, I suppose it was like my parents kind of put me on this path because they, like, from a really young age, they had me and my sister in music lessons.
Okay.
So I learned how to read music and all that from a very young age. And I think that kind of did, like, make me musical. And then once I decided to start getting into it, it wasn't too hard to, like, pick up instruments and all that stuff. So, yeah.
What was the first instrument that you tried out and you're like, okay,
yeah,
we can do this?
Well, it probably was guitar.
Yeah.
It's funny as well because, like, I started playing guitar when I was 10, and I played, I took lessons from like 10 to 14, but I never really got that good during that time. Like, I could never really do more than play chords and that sort of thing. It wasn't until I discovered Led Zeppelin when I was in high school, and Jimmy Page blew me away, and that was sort of I was like, okay, I should, like, actually learn how to play.
Yeah.
And so I took lessons again and picked it up really quick from there. So yeah, no, guitar's kind of like, I mean, I played other stuff, like, I've played trumpet and, like, in middle school band and that sort of thing. But yeah, guitar was really, like, the first one I picked up, and I've always sort of played that. So yeah.
Okay, and so you mentioned Zeppelin, and that's perfect because what were you listening to, and because your sound is very classic. Like, I was listening to it and I was like, I could have sworn this was just, something I'd grown up with. Like, my dad loved classic rock, so I just listened to what he listened to. It just has this, like, classicness to it, and very 80s and just fun rock with some pop mixing on. So I was interested to know what you were listening to growing up and who really inspired you.
Well, I always, like, the story I always tell is that there were really, like, three bands and artists that kind of set me on the path I am now. So the first one was the Beatles when I was 11 years old. So this was like, I had started playing guitar, but I wasn't really, like, into any bands or anything like that when I was starting out. It was really just like, I'm just going to play guitar, But then when I was 11 years old, I heard Paperback Writer, and, like, that blew me away. Like, to this day, I still think it's one of the coolest sounding guitar
Isn't it
riffs.
Crazy? Like, just going a little off road here.
Yeah.
The Beatles are just, they inspire. I mean, most artists you speak to today, like some of the biggest artists on the planet, who wouldn't be in the genre that you would think of. It could be country, it could be rap, R&B, rock. Like, everybody knows the Beatles and loves the Beatles, and they're inspiring to everybody.
Well, it's like on my podcast, Guess That Record. I mean, the amount of people that I've spoken to on that show where it's like, I became a musician on, I think it was like February 9th, 1964, when I watched the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan
Yeah.
Show, and yeah, I mean, it had the same sort of effect on me, 40 years after
Yeah.
that. So yeah, no, Paperback Writer was the song. I still, to this day, will say it's like one of the coolest sounding guitar parts of all time. And so, yeah, they really got me, I guess like it made me take music seriously after that part. But I, yeah, like it was really for a few years, like the Beatles were the only thing I listened to. Like nothing else was good enough for me for a long time.
That's it.
But yeah, so then just when I was starting high school was when I heard Stairway to Heaven, and it had like a similar sort of effect on me, like, whoa, this is heavy.
Yeah.
And so then I really got into Zeppelin. But the thing that was different that time was like, yeah, Jimmy Page really made me like, I'm gonna like learn how to play lead and play a solo and actually get good on guitar. And I mean, the other good thing as well is that at that time was that I was like a lot more open-minded, so I was like discovering lots of music at that time. So I have Zeppelin to thank for that as well, because they were the gateway to Hendrix and all the other great bands of all time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was the next sort of big discovery. And then the third and sort of final one that has sort of shaped my musical identity was when I got into Bruce Springsteen.
Nice.
And that was when I was 19, was when I really started listening to Bruce. And I mean, I had been familiar with him, like, of course, everyone knows songs like Born to Run and Dancing in the Dark and Born in the USA. I knew all of those, but it didn't really speak to me until I was about 19. And I was like, I've never really listened to Bruce. I'm going to give him a chance here, because I just like came across like his greatest hits CD, and then I just fell down the rabbit hole. And for me, like that was right around the time when I was like, I went through high school and I could never put a band together.
Yeah.
I never really viewed myself as a singer. I just wanted to be like a Jimmy Page, but it was impossible to ever put a band together. So I was like, well, I guess I could sing. And yeah, like Bruce, it was really important. I found him at that time because that was, like he kind of gave me a blueprint of like how I could sing, like he's got a bit of a deeper voice. I, of course, have a deeper singing voice. So that was big. And then just like his entire image and persona was another thing that really attracted me to him. And, I started watching like live footage, and it was like, seeing how energetic he is on stage, it was like, that's what I want to do too. So yeah, those were really like the three big musical discoveries for me.
Yeah.
The Beatles just kind of got me into music in general. Led Zeppelin, made me take guitar seriously, and then Bruce made me want to like sing and write my own songs.
Yeah.
So
and the new EP, is that you singing every song?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that's just it.
We do. Tanner and DeAndre, who are in the band, they do some backing vocals as well. But I'm singing lead on everything.
Because that's just it. Because you're young. You're 27, and you're listening. If people listening to it, I kind of don't want to like spoil it for people, but like you listen to it and you would, again, it's just got this classic feel to it, and your voice definitely sounds so much older, and just I don't know, it's amazing, it's great. So well done. We're gonna talk more about that in a little bit, the EP and the sound. But you're mentioning you're wanting to form a band. I always find I've had a few musicians on where they're just usually solo artists, and then I've had some on that are parts of bands, and I find it all very interesting. Why did you want the band aspect? What was it? What's it is playing with everybody else that really brings you a joy?
Yeah, well, I mean, I did, like, after high school, I did give up like ever wanting to like have a like band in the traditional sense, because it's just like it's hard. Like it's hard to like keep it going.
Yeah.
And that sort of sent me down the, being more of a solo artist. And that, like, my first few releases were like completely like as a solo act. But it was like, of course, going back to Bruce Springsteen, right? When you look at him, it's not, most of the time it's not just him, it's Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. And other artists I really like, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Prince and the Revolution, Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. So you know as I started going more down this path, it was like, that was sort of the mold I wanted to follow. It's great because it's like I get to I get to make all the decisions, and it's if people come and go, and I mean, like, we've had lots of different lineups over the years, but at the end of the day, it's still the same sort of show you're getting. But I do like having that band dynamic on stage, especially on stage. And so it's like that's really what I'm going for with this sort of setup.
Yeah. And because, I mean, there's some songs that there's moments in there, this goes for all like genres, but there's when there's an actual like band, not when we're focusing on just like lead singers, but bands, you have those moments where there's a moment where you, as the songwriter, you're going, okay, this note right now, this is a big, great drum solo. I need this, or I need this certain guitar riff going on. I need this. And you're like, I need someone who can focus on that while I'm focusing on other things. And you give those moments to those people who can come in and do it. And I think that's what's so great about it, is just a lot of collaboration and you going, I know what I want, and I might not be the one for this.
Yep.
I need this person to come do it.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing as well, for the most part, I'm pretty easygoing about like, what the guys all play individually. Like, if I want something specific, I'll definitely let them know.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I let them do their thing, which I think is, it's good, because I don't want them to feel like, they have to do it my way or whatever, right? They can add their own thing to it as well. So,
And so you write most of your songs, all your songs?
Yeah.
So when do they come to you? Or is it those moments, because that's the hard part about being a creative person. We all know this. We've chatted about this. Some people don't understand that, like, no, I can't just set aside 5 to 7 p.m. This is where I'm going to write. Sometimes it comes to you the most random times. Where do you find these moments of inspirations for, oh, that'd be a great song? Or just, is it notes that come to you, go, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's no real like set way that it happens. Like you said, it's just kind of like, you'll just have a like, oh wow, I got an idea now, and then you go and act on it. Yeah, I mean, for me, really, like, a lot of where I get like inspiration to write is like, I'll hear a song and I think like, I want to do something, inspired by that.
Yeah.
That's really the quickest way for me to get writing a song, is just like finding something that inspired me, and then going from there, pretty much.
Yeah. And do you like, stand-up comics will go to open mic nights and try out sets and jokes, and they'll do it a couple times and go like, this just isn't working. How do you, as a singer, do that? Do you test it to your friends and family? Do you try it out on those live performances, or do you just have to? Do you have that instinct after trying it with the band, going, maybe this is not, maybe someday down the line, but it's not right now?
Oh yeah, no, kind of all of the above. Once I kind of get a song built, I usually will make a demo. Like what I sort of imagine it will sound like with the full band. And I mean, we absolutely will try it out live. And in fact, actually, one of the songs on Live in 25, Warmth of July,
Oh yeah.
that was the very first time it was ever performed on stage on that record. So yeah, no, and there have been songs that, like, we played it live, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it's the time for this song right now, and then, throw it back on the shelf. But yeah, no, I mean, it's like the process for me really is like build a demo, and then go from there in terms of like performing it and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, okay. It's not unheard of for people to do EPs. Plenty of people do that. It's what you need to do. You get some songs recorded so you can put it out onto the interwebs, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever people are going to listen to it. And there's a lot of work with that. So we've decided to do Live in 25, a live recording.
Yeah.
Sharing the stage, you were the same night as Nazareth, which we'll touch about that. But I mean, was this a scary thought to be like, okay, so the EP we're doing, we get one shot?
I mean, I was not scared about like the performance aspect of it. The only thing I was worried about was just like making sure that the files survived, right? Like there wasn't any issues like getting the files after the show. That was the only worry I had. And once we had it all, then it was like, okay, now we can put this all together. But no, like the idea for doing it was because I mean, our last release was Little Red Corvette,
right,
which came out last year. And the tough thing about recording music is that it's expensive.
It is.
And like it's studio time, mixing, mastering, all of that adds up big time. And we, on the side of, obviously trying to record more, is we've been trying to get bigger and bigger shows.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get something like what we just played here with Nazareth. We've been trying to get a show like that for years. And we've come close to getting it. And then, things fell apart. And but this was like the first time where it finally all worked out. We got the deal in place. It was all good to go. And once I sort of knew that, I was thinking, I mean, I knew we were going to have to get some sort of footage from the show because it's, huge for us moving forward as we try and get more opportunities to be able to, tell promoters and all the important people like, hey, look at what we did. But as I started thinking about it more, I was like, this would be a great opportunity for us to, get a whole new release out of the way.
Yeah.
And it saves us a ton of headaches and challenges of trying to organize studio time and all of that stuff. So, once I got the idea for it, it was pretty like, yeah, we're going to do a full release off of this show. Not just to like satisfy the need of getting a new release out there, but also, yeah, like it's going to be, it's great. We can just milk the fact that we played this show even more.
Yeah, well, exactly. Why not kill a couple birds with one stone, right? And just what was going through your mind when you found out you're sharing a stage with Nazareth?
Yeah, well, so if anyone doesn't know, we performed at the River Cree Casino, which is up in Edmonton.
Yeah.
It's like for anyone in Calgary, it's kind of like the equivalent of the Grey Eagle.
Yeah.
But
it's a big venue.
It is.
People,
2,000 people. Yeah. Like big stage, video screens to the side of the stage. Like it's, it is a professional setup in there. And like I was saying earlier, we've been trying to get a show like this for a very long time. I have an agent. His name's Gene Foley. He's based in the States, and we've been working together for it might be like 5 or 6 years now at this point. But Gene is like big time. Like he works with Bruce Springsteen. He works with Billy Joel. So he's got all the right connections. And like with his help, we've been trying to get on a show like this, but it just, like it's, it just never would work out, right? Like something would either like a promoter would ghost us after, saying they were interested, or just, it just never really worked out. But the thing with this show was I was able to kind of get it set up on my own this time. I made the connection with the promoters at River Cree. And it just like it did take quite a few months to get this specific show set up, but it was sort of like middle of last year where it kind of became clear like we are going to perform at River Cree. It's just a matter of what show is going to be the one.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like Nazareth's people were cool with it, so that was the one. And I'm glad it was Nazareth, because I mean, they had some hits back in the day, and they still get pretty good crowds at their shows. I mean, that show was sold out. In fact, actually, that show sold out so quickly they added a second show for Nazareth at River Cree. We only played the first night they were there, but like that's it's a huge deal for us to be able to say we got to share the stage with Nazareth. And I mean, we've been getting like it's not just Nazareth. Like earlier, or about a year ago now, we got to open for Streetheart, which is a Canadian classic rock band. That show is here in Calgary. So like we're just adding more and more names that we're able to say we shared the stage with so and so, and that's you need to do that. So
you do, and I applaud your hustling and your work ethic. I absolutely love it. I think it's impressive, and I mean, it shows. It pays off.
Yeah,
that's always nice. This specific album, I was listening to it all this morning as I was preparing for this. It's so good, and it just takes me back to just classic rock, 80s pop. It's very very universal. I think so many people can enjoy it, especially if you're someone like me who grew up with older siblings. So I listened to, the 90s pops that they were listening to, and then I was listening to my dad's classic rock. You listen to everything. What made you choose these songs to put together? Was there an overall connection you wanted with them, or was it that because there's a little bit of taste, a little bit of difference between each of them that you can, some can gravitate to others? What was the reasoning behind the song choices?
Yeah, well, I mean, some of them was just because like it was what we had available.
Yeah.
Some of it was because like I had gotten some really good feedback on certain tracks, and it was like, okay, this is, it'd be good to release these. I mean, it really, it was really like just important to kind of get like our best new songs together in one collection. And I think, kind of like you mentioned, it does kind of, it doesn't all sound the same. I think each track sounds different to each other, which I like doing that. I mean, I don't think enough artists do that these days. Everyone is like, I got to find a sound and stick to it. But all my favorite artists went all over the place. I probably have the Beatles to blame for that, because
that's just it. And that you go around, and I love when an artist, I'm a person who I am applauding Beyonce for doing a country album. I'm applauding country artists who go and join forces with a rap artist, pop, going over to some hardcore rock, like just mix it up. And I think it's so cool because sometimes those voices turn out something different that you wouldn't think about when you do it that way. And you have this nice variety. Like one of my favorite ones I was listening to was I think it's the last one, the Do You Feel What I
Do? You Feel the Way I Do?
Feel the Way I Do.
Yeah.
And so I love movies. People who listen to this podcast, no surprise there. I just had the folks from Rev 52 on to talk about their upcoming movie concert. And songs and movies go hand in hand, and 80s movies and music. And there was something about that one that definitely I was like picturing like a John Hughes movie. And just like, I loved it. It was probably my favorite one of that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned John Hughes, because I think like Warmth of July was that one was really, I was going for like John Hughes 80s movie kind of feel with that song. Do You Feel the Way I Do is interesting though, because that one is actually one of the few studio tracks on the record. So it's not completely live.
Yeah.
The start and the end was studio recordings. And that song, Do You Feel the Way I Do, we've been trying to incorporate more of a pop sound with our last few releases, just to, I mean, I like writing in that style. I want to write hits. I want to, be, commercially accessible.
Yeah.
Because I think that's another thing that's kind of like, all my favorite artists, that's what they did. They wrote songs to be big hits and be on the radio. And I think like, especially in rock, there's been like this, like, oh, we're, going to be artsy and, we're not going to cater to as big of an audience as we can. So I want to try and not do that. And so Do You Feel the Way I Do was just, I threw that in there to make sure like, we've got something that shows like, hey, I can write in this style,
Yeah, definitely. It also just made me think of like, speaking of like John Hughes and movies, we talked about when inspiration hits you. Are there movies and TV shows? Are there times you're watching something where you're like, oh crap, like this be a great, like this inspired me to do. You're watching two characters fight it out, or you're watching a heartbreaking scene, whatever it may be. Do movie and TV shows ever like speak to you that way?
Yeah, no, I mean it can for sure. I mean the one other thing to say about this record is the fact that it's not just the EP, right? Like we do have a full concert movie to go along with this. And I mean, of course, I was talking about like how the footage was really important so that we can share it around.
Yeah.
But we got the footage from the is like the direct feed from the video screen. So like what people would have seen in the crowd, that's the concert movie. Cool. And earlier this summer, I saw, cause they did a limited re-release of the Prince Sign of the Times concert movie in IMAX. And I went to go see that. And that definitely, I think, was an inspiration when I was putting this together, because like, I didn't necessarily want it to be just like performance footage and that's it, right?
Yeah.
I thought, we can be a little more creative with this. And that Sign of the Times movie, like there's kind of like these interludes between the songs where it's like, these sections that aren't musical, right?
Yeah.
Like it almost is like a scene playing out. And so, that's kind of what I did with the Live in 25 concert film. Like I filmed a lot of like extra, almost kind of narrative scenes to stitch it throughout the entire performance, just to kind of give it a bit more variety and give it more, it's a little more than just watching a band play on stage, right? So I think there's definitely times when films can inspire music for sure.
They go hand in hand. They really do. And it's art that can evoke emotion from you and remind you of something, whether it's losing someone you love, or a breakup, or finding your one true love, or a teacher that inspired you, or your best friend, or something like that. I just think movies and music so powerful, and we sometimes forget that. And I'm like, which is mind-boggling to me, because during COVID, that's all we had was movies and music. That's how we were coping, was just sitting in our apartments watching movies that we loved and brought us joy. It baffles me that we always forget about how much art means to us.
Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of like connections in art and music, you also have a podcast, Guess the Record.
Guess That Record.
Guess That Record.
Yeah.
What do you love about talking with other people about music?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's I'd say it's a little more than just talking with people. I mean, we've had some of the most successful people in music on the podcast. It was funny because like I did not think I would still be doing it at this point. When I started it, it was really just kind of like, I'll try this and see if it works. Like it was really, I thought, kind of my ticket to collaborate with bigger name people in the music industry, which, again, I was like, how can I, as someone from Calgary, which is not, the center of the music industry, how can I get my foot in the door even more? And so that was really what I wanted to do with the podcast. But at the same time, kind of like you mentioned, like it's a great way for me to, talk about music. I mean, it's definitely the subject I know the most about. So, that was, like when it came to creating it, it was really just about, like creating more opportunities for myself and just to grow the brand even more.
Yeah. And what have you learned talking with some of these guests who like you mentioned, are some of the biggest in the music industry? What have you learned from them? Has it has it opened your eyes to something else that you never thought about when it comes to this industry, and how you can bring it to the city of Calgary that has a great music scene, but it's not as well known as your Nashville's and even Toronto's and shit like that?
Yeah. I mean, well, I actually, this one ties directly into Live in 25, but probably one of our biggest guests that we had on this past year was Neil Giraldo.
Yeah.
And if anyone doesn't know who Neil Giraldo is, he is the guitarist, and he's also married to Pat Benatar.
Oh, wow.
So he's been with Pat like from the very beginning. He played on all of those hit records. He's also played on other artists' hit records. So he was on Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield and Don't Fight It, which was the duet by Kenny Loggins and Steve Perry.
Yeah.
So yeah, Neil Giraldo, and of course he and Pat Benatar both got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame together.
Yeah.
And that one, well, first off, that was a crazy interview for me, because it was like Neil's people came to me to be on the show, which that normally it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy for like them to think highly enough of the podcast that they were like, hey, we want to get Neil on this. And Neil was great, like super, super nice guy. And by that point, it was looking likely we were going to be playing the show with Nazareth. So I told him about that after we had finished recording, and he was like, I'll give you some advice about, like, as you start to play more and more of these bigger concerts, it can be really easy to let the size of it, like freak you out a bit, right? Like, it's like, wow, there's a lot of people here and this is like a big deal. And it's like, he's like, just have fun. Like, that's the most important thing with these shows, is like to not think about like the fact that you're playing in front of a huge crowd.
Yeah.
To just like go out there, do your thing. Because if you start to think about like the situation you're in, that's when mistakes can happen and it's not as good of a performance. So yeah, like that's, of all the like, sort of things like that I've taken from the podcast, that's probably the one that's like stuck with me the most, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is, like, going into that show with Nazareth, I had already played, we've already played a bunch of shows. I'm not nervous going up and playing music in front of people anymore. But it was still nice of him to say that to us,
Yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of like performing live, do you have some places in Calgary you like to perform, or places throughout wherever you've been that you found the venue is great, the audience is like, where are some places you love to perform?
Well, probably my favorite venue in Calgary would be the King Eddie.
Yeah.
Just because it's a very historic venue. And it feels like, of all the kind of smaller venues in Calgary, it feels the most like a big stage, right? Like they've got a full backstage setup in there. Like, you get your own green room, and it's just a really, really top-notch setup in there. And it's also nice because it's like they have regulars, right? Like, I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed a good crowd no matter what when you go there, which is kind of nice. So I definitely, in Calgary, that's probably my favorite place to play, for sure. Another like cool place that I've performed, like not in Calgary, was actually in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
So 2019, myself and my keyboard player Jeremy, who's still playing with us, we went to the States to do a run of shows, and it ended in Nashville. And so we played at it was like this teeny little bar called, I think it was Twin Kegs 2. Not on Broadway, very much off Broadway and all the like big places in Nashville.
Yeah.
But it was like, again, huge, like very big crowd for a teeny place there. And, they loved our set and everything. One of the songs we played was Old Time Rock and Roll by Bob Seger.
Nice.
And the crazy thing was, after the show, this lady came up to me and she's like, "Hi, Jackson. I'm Sean Murphy. I'm in Bob Seger's band.
Oh, no
one
way.
of his backing vocalists."
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was definitely a memorable show, for sure.
That's a good question. That you made me now think of. What are some like classic songs like that you love to perform? Like
Mm.
Old Time Rock and Roll, I love that song. Um, I feel like there was a while that it was played lots, and it was like in some features in movies and TV shows, and then I haven't heard it in the world in quite a while. I
Yeah,
think it's a great one.
well, I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely one of his most well-known
Yeah,
tracks for sure. Um, well, I mean, of course, I'm gonna have to say, when it comes to like the songs we play live, Little Red Corvette, that one, of course, we did an entire release of
yeah,
that. And Little Red Corvette, we started playing it live, I want to say like 2023. And then heading into 2024, I was thinking like, what should our next release be? And I just like at that time I was really listening to it a lot, and I was sort of like, this is like the kind of song that like I want us to sound like our sound to be like.
yeah,
I think it's a song that like still sounds really fresh. Like if someone did that brand new today, I don't think it would sound out of place.
yeah.
And so that was why we went and recorded our own version of it. And it did very well. It was played on over 50 radio stations across Canada and the
That's
US.
awesome.
But the interesting thing about Little Red Corvette is like in our last, 4 or 5 shows, like we always kind of play it about halfway through the show, and it never fails to get everyone worked up. Like
Yeah,
that is the like one it's the song that really, really kicks our show into overdrive, I
yeah.
feel like. So, and, I feel like every time we play it live, it gets better and better. So, yeah. And of course, we played it at the show with Nazareth,
Yeah.
and it's not on the EP, but you can still go listen to it on our Spotify, and it will be in the concert film as
Yeah.
well. So,
Do you instantly like, because you love music, gone to concerts, seen other performers, do you know before your set, like, do you figure out that set list pretty easy to the right flow to make sure that the audience, knowing, okay, there is a moment where people need to go to the bathroom or something like that, but like you want the flow to keep the energy going as much as possible, and get it right to the end. You don't want to peak too high and then all of a sudden people are just tired and grow tired, right?
yeah, no, for sure. I definitely, you do kind of plan out like, okay, let this song, maybe not two slow songs back to back, maybe like you do try and sort of spread out like what kinds of songs are
Yeah.
on the set list. Another important one as well is like not having like maybe having one song, if one song is like a really tough one to sing, maybe having an easier one after that. And and of course, like, yeah, definitely saving your best for last. Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. Like at this point, we definitely do have like our workhorse songs for us. But I do try and I pretty much every show we play is a little different from each other. One thing I tend to do, or I have been tending to do for like the last year or so when we've played, is including a song that ties back to our podcast.
Oh, nice.
So, like, hey, it allows me to sort of tell the story of how we got a certain guest on the show. And then it's like, all right, we're going to play a song that this guest was involved with,
That's a cool way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Before we kind of wrap up, going back to your new EP, I wanted to ask you, it's a brand new year, 2026. What do you think the music scene is going to be like in Calgary this year? What needs to happen to it? Is it going to improve? Is it going to bloom? Is it going to just plateau? What do you think we're looking at here?
Yeah, I mean, I do think like we've got a good scene here, and there's a lot of talented people. But I think like in our case, especially, and this is not like a diss or anything on the scene in Calgary, but Calgary is definitely more of a growing music market where it's still not, at the same level as an LA or a New York or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just been natural for us, especially, to go and find opportunities outside of Calgary. because I think we're not all of our listeners aren't going to be here, right? We need to find we need to find listeners everywhere we can. So and ultimately we take those experiences and bring them back here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really what I would have to say about that for sure.
That's fair. All right. So to start to wrap up here, Live in 25 being released January 30th.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about this? The EP and the concert experience, the video release. How are you feeling getting ready to release this out to the world?
I'm feeling good. I think, I mean, I feel like everyone always says like, oh, the newest one is our best work yet. But I really do think this is our best work yet, our most complete work yet. Shows the entire range of what we can do, and also shows, like we can work a crowd of 2,000 people and more, potentially. So I'm just really happy with how it all turned out. We've got a great looking concert film, of us getting to perform.
And where's that going to be available to watch?
That will be on YouTube.
Okay.
The EP itself, of course, all the streaming services, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you listen to your music. The thing I'll also mention, another place you can get it, will be doing a run of CDs for it. Of course, like at our shows, we sell merch, but, if you're not here in Calgary, because I know we definitely have supporters outside of Calgary, and I have been trying to think of like, how can we get our physical merch to, have our physical merch available at any time for someone who wants it. So we're going to be setting up a Bandcamp page to, make it so that if you want to buy this CD or if you want to buy any of our other merch, you can do that at any time you want. And that's definitely important. I would, if you're interested in checking us out, buying the CD of Live in 25 is definitely the best way to support us, because it actually makes money compared to streaming. So
yes, it's great. The streams are great. They're fantastic. They support, but whenever you can support artists, I'm just going to go on this little tangent here. Buy their merch, buy their CDs. If they're performing here somewhere in your city, and tickets aren't usually that expensive to go see these bands, go out and support. Like, go check these people out. And because by you going to the venue, you're helping the venue out as well. Even if you were just you're the DD and you're just buying a Coke for the night or something like that, it helps everybody.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, go support. And I encourage you all to listen to this album. It's so good. Like I said, it's just takes you back to this classic feel to it. You think you're listening to songs that have been around for a while, and your voice is just, does not suit your age.
Thank you.
Yeah. And awesome. And I appreciate you coming in to chat with me about everything. And I wish you all the best in 2026.
For sure, Craig. Thank you very much. And I'll also, just one final thing, I'll put it out there as well. People should check out Guess That Record.
Yes.
We've done interviews with Andy Summers from The Police. I obviously mentioned Neil Giraldo. I've done some crazy in-person interviews with like Dominic Miller, who's Sting's guitar player, and I got to hang out with like Billy Joel's crew and Bruce Springsteen's crew when they've played shows and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. We're starting off the year. I think it will be out by the time this podcast airs, but our first episode of the year is with Kenny Aronoff, who is, if you've heard Jack and Diane, if you've heard Hurt So Good, if you heard all those great John Mellencamp songs, Kenny was the drummer on all of those. He's one of the most in-demand drummers to this day. And we actually recorded a song with Kenny a couple years ago, Dangerous Lover.
Wow.
Our single from a couple years ago. He played the drums on that. So it was very cool to get him on the podcast. And so that's our first one of the year, and we got more coming.
That's awesome. Well, check out podcasts. I love podcasts, and podcasts are important. Support all of our podcasts. Thank you, Jackson, so much. EP coming out January 30th. Yeah, looking forward to it. And thank you so much for being here.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, Craig.
Thank you, Jackson, for being on the podcast today. Such a joy to have you come down and chat with me. Guess That Record podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, Jackson Reed and the Silverbirds' new EP, Live in 25, is available January 30th, wherever you get your music. You can pre-save it now through his website. And then on YouTube, you'll find the full documentary footage. And concert series, documentary footage, whatever you want to call it. I choose my own words around here, as you can often tell. Oh, I'm fun, aren't I? But yes, thank you, Jackson Reed. Go check out his stuff. It's awesome. And make sure to follow me on social media at PDW Craig, Passing Time with Craig on Facebook and Instagram for all the fun ways to pass time. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye.